Back on TYT Sports. Honoured to have a guest on today, host of Beyond the Pitch, which I was a huge fan of this podcast before. I had the chance to be on it recently, so if you're tuning into that, make sure to listen out for a familiar Scottish, kind of American-washed accent that I've got going on. But Phil Brown, thanks for coming on, mate. You can check him out on Twitter at, what's your Twitter handle again?
At Malakans.
Malakans. So you're going to hear a couple of accents here, of course. Phil coming across from Ireland before.
Yes.
So Northern Ireland, right? Is that
From
where you're
Belfast.
From Belfast. So don't worry, he's not going to beat me up for getting mixed up between the both of them. Don't worry about
That's
that.
all right.
So the first thing we're going to talk about today, we're going to do full previews on La Liga, on Bundesliga as well. And I know you guys have been calling out for it, and ask and you shall receive. But today, a little bit of fun first. The new Premier League kits are out. There's some shockers. I mean,
Yes.
I can understand straight away because Celtic have launched a new pink away kit. Have you seen that?
Haven't seen a pink one, but I remember when Scotland had the pink one before.
Oh, remember that? What was going on? So Celtic apparently have this kit that it's been teased, but it's got a very pink touch on it. I don't know if that's going to be as acceptable throughout the kind of rougher areas of Scotland. If you can't be as hard when you're walking down the street with a pink shirt on, you know what I mean? In the East End of Glasgow. So let's take a look at some of the ones that Jason, our producer and host, has pulled out. So the first one is the Arsenal kits. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, I don't like the collar. That's the first thing. Last season they had the collar and they kind of done away with it. So I like that they've went with kind of just the usual crew neck this year.
You know, Arsenal, it looks like an Arsenal kit. It looks like it's something that's made for a metro. And it looks like it's nice and fit and
Fitted.
and looks really, really nice. But it's a typical Arsenal kit for me. I'm not a big fan of the Puma kits. But,
No, neither am I.
But that looks like, if I was an Arsenal player, that looks like something that's made for an Arsenal player.
Yeah, they're made for those slender, toned physiques that you get on most of the Arsenal players. You ever remember it wasn't Puma. I think it was the first brand that kind of encompassed the very tight kits. It was the Kappa.
They weren't made for you and me.
They weren't made for you. They're made for the modern day gym rat who doesn't want to do anything but work out. And it was the Kappa. I'm sure we'll throw up an image in post. The Italy Kappa shirts that were skin tight. I remember I had them when I was younger.
I remember the
Those
sleeves
are
that would come down.
Yes.
I ended up washing the car with it. I couldn't. It's been a long time since I fitted in one of those.
All right, so next up we have Chelsea's kits this season. I don't know, man. The badge going across. So last year, I'm not the biggest Chelsea fan, but last year I was a big fan of their away kit last year. I'm not a big fan of it this year. I don't know. It looks like what a US soccer mom would be wearing if it would have that cotton material, right? It'd be like a full tracksuit that would look like that.
You know, Adidas try to get creative on where to put the stripes. So they've went from the shoulders to under here.
Yeah.
There's not much else you could do with it. They've come across the shoulder, they've stuck it down the sides, and then once they settle on the design, it's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and I really like a lot of their training gear, but I don't like a lot of the shirts are really basic, and these have become such hot selling items, these shirts, that they try to get so creative. These shirts would sell if they were made out of toilet paper, you know, because fans will buy them anyway. But
I agree with that.
Simple design.
Yeah, I think that I'm not just a big fan of the badge that goes throughout, but I mean, last season I thought they had it spot on, and I think that I prefer the collar on the left. I don't like the kind of open V-neck.
Yeah.
I think with the open V-neck, you're expecting that's what you wear in an everyday attire when you've got the shirt that comes up above it. You know what I mean? You see John Terry walk out with a polo neck on underneath, maybe a little strange. But we'll move over to Leicester, the current champions. Still never sinks in when you say that, right?
Still hard to take in that.
I mean, I don't know if it's just because of the nostalgia of it all that I can't criticise Leicester. You know what I mean? I like
it's a Puma kit again, though, Francis.
No, that's the thing. Puma, but this one they've added the collar to it, similar to what we've seen with Arsenal in the past. King Power's prominent, but they're the champions, man. Can they get away with wearing what they want?
Well, I will say yes, in Puma's defence, they've kept it really simple.
Yeah.
There's no attempt to be creative. It's, you know, and I think a really good football shirt, like if we look at the Barcelona shirt this year, really simple, no over elaboration, just very simple, very direct. That's what I would want a Champions team shirt to look like.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to Leicester, it kind of encompasses what they're all about. We talked about it last night in the podcast. Sorry, there's no complications. They are they focus on hard work. They're like the good middle-class grafted team and grafted lad. Well, they're going to go in and get the job done. That's what they stood for last season. So just because they're champions doesn't mean they're going to go and get all crazy with their designs and get all fluorescent or whatever it is. No, we're in. We've got the blue and the red, home and away, so we'll see what happens next year. But teams that have experimented with a few different colours, Manchester City. So we have, of course, the new badge from Manchester City that is across all our kits. And as much as both you and I, Phil, have openly confessed our allegiance to the other side of Manchester in comparison. You know, you're a diehard fan in comparison. I just like Manchester United. Thanks a lot, Roy Keane, for that. I like the home kit. I always have liked the sky blue just as a colour. The away kit, sadly, I do like it this year.
It's very hard to go wrong with black and yellow.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a Dortmund feel about it. The home kit, really simple, really clean, sky blue, nice. I have to say, I hated Nike when they made United kits.
Yeah.
They had some terrible kits. But the home kit's not bad when you consider some of the awful kits that we've seen this year. That's not bad. The away kit, black and yellow, it's not something you'd associate with Man City.
I know.
But they get so creative, especially with the away kits. The third kit, that's not bad, actually.
Yeah, the third kit, I think, was teased today. Again, I'll see if there's another picture and post. It's like a fade of red. I think it starts off a little darker and it works its way up and it's got some designs on it. Again, being bold with it. But let's get to Manchester United's because I don't know if it's just the whole that I was just so happy with Paul Pogba finally coming in that I was just drawn to the kit that he first was kind of paraded in, which was the blue. And I was like, thank God, we've seen Paul Pogba. Give me the kit. And then I was like, I like that kit as well. Was it just because it was Pogba or is these, do you think, some of the nicest kits you've seen?
I don't like it.
No, you don't like it?
The blue one was the first one that came out this summer, first one that we saw. And when Adidas got the deal to make United's kits, I was excited because I loved their training gear and I'm a bit too old to be enjoying this type of thing. But I was looking forward to getting a lot of the Adidas stuff. The blue kit, I have to say, it just looks so cheap to me. Yeah. It looks so cheaply put together. I don't like the 1980s, the specs through it.
Yeah,
you remember the old
gold
flares we used to wear? They had they had the specs through the trousers. It looks to me like someone took something from the 1980s, slapped a Chevy badge on it, and I don't like it.
I think of the both when you put it like that, I can see where you're coming from. I don't know what the kind of chain symbol is through the middle of the red kit. I don't know what's going on with that
either.
I think it's to kind of separate the different shades. I mean, they're trying to be fancy with it.
Yeah.
Again, Manchester United is a club very similar to Real Madrid as well. It's tradition. You don't expect. It's not like you're going to be put off of United if every year they don't come up with some new different way to portray the norm. Same with Celtic. The green and white hoops are always there. I remember the year Celtic stopped. They didn't have the hoops go all the way around. They had a disconnect. Uproar. I'm not buying that shite. There's a disconnect right there.
But there is some things that you don't mess with.
Yeah.
And there's core identity. United, they change their shirt every year because of this big money deal with Adidas. So I can understand you run out of things to do with it. Yeah. It's just a simple football shirt. And we see the numbers already with Ibrahimovic. We see the numbers already with Pogba and how many of these shirts are selling. Like we said, they'd sell out no matter what they're made of. But and I do feel a bit sad as a 40-year-old man running around football shirts and still wearing them as much as I do.
Yeah.
But I have to say, as sad as it is, I own all. Red, blue, and white. The white one, I love.
Yeah, I like the white shirt as well. I'm a big fan of it. So, I think we're going on a bit, but I think we're going to go back to Liverpool, and that wasn't because we wanted to go to Manchester United first, but I think that Liverpool shirts are going to be in here. I know Jason is a huge fan of the Liverpool shirt. Jason, who once switched his allegiance from being a Swansea fanboy, because he's just picking up on kind of what team to go for, switched from Swansea to Liverpool because the shirts were nicer. That is a true fact. So let's take a look at
do it for success reasons.
The black and white, I do like. It's a go-to. The red, I don't like the red with the yellow. I would prefer it if it was white. That's just my usual, my kind of general thought on the aesthetic.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white, and then keep the red and white on the other one. Don't go with the yellow. I don't like it as much. But I'm sure Liverpool fans will disagree for disagreement's sake. And then we have Tottenham as well, who are a big. I do like what they do with their kits. I don't like their badges much. Like AIE is so prominent that like everyone's logo is prominent, but when you have that kind of black and gold look about it, for me, it just looks like they are, I don't know, like it looks to me like I know they're sponsoring something, but it looks like someone has so shadily just put that on their shirt. You know what I mean? They just come up and they've just recently put the AIE on it and made it as huge and as prominent as possible. And I don't know why it stands out to me, but they've of course went with Under Armour this year, and that's something that's, I guess, it's a staple to their kits.
It looks like one of them shirts you get as a street seller, no crossing the border. It's a bit dodgy.
Yeah, it looks like you don't know if it's the real one or not. That's the thing.
Exactly.
You don't know if it's the real one.
Spurs haven't had a good kit in years.
Yeah.
And it's white. How do you go wrong with a white kit? It's one of the easiest things. White, black, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Easy kits to get right. And Spurs haven't had a good kit in years.
Yeah, I think that and what was it, the previous sponsors that they've had across, they've always been so prominent as of recent. I mean,
Holston.
Yeah, the Holston ones as well. And I mean,
ones.
everyone, and by the way, I might just be nitpicking. I mean, I can't complain. Celtic have went through, I'm referring it back to them, they went through their change, and they've got the big Magners across, and now we're sponsored by New Balance, and I think if it goes from, like the list of the sponsors that you used to have when you were younger, if your team was sponsored by Umbro or Reebok, you're like, worst teams. What kind of team sponsored by Umbro? And then it went, and then Celtic got
badge in the middle.
Yeah, and then Celtic got the Nike sponsor. I was like, we're moving on up. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're going to switch to New Balance. New Balance? New Balance is the shoes that my dad used to wear for comfort around the house, you know what I mean?
I always remember me of Brian Robson.
Right, that is it. That is it. So
pass from me.
I think we've got other kits to summarise really quick, some brief ones. So these are the kind of general consensus of ones that we haven't missed out. There is someone in there that we're kind of repeating, but the Crystal Palace top light. Would you miss that in a dark night?
No.
Jesus Christ.
The whole bottom right is awful.
Yeah, that's just their colours. They're kind of screwed no matter what, aren't they?
Yeah, it looks awful. And I would say if I had to pick the best one out of all of those,
Let's see if we're in the same kind of
I would pick the Swansea kit.
All right.
That white Swansea kit. See, that's why a white kit should be made. That's what Tottenham need to learn from.
Yeah.
And maybe a Sunderland kit.
That's
a nice
exactly
shade.
it. I love the Sunderland one. I would rock the Sunderland kit if I didn't think that I was going to have a year plagued with a relegation battle and another match.
I think Moyes will be all right.
No, that's the thing. I'm joking. That's kind of my point of view on David Moyes, and I think David Moyes had a hard job no matter what at Manchester United. I mean, there was a theory that he took the keys to a brand new car and drove it headfirst into the wall. That is not a very solid theory considering what we've seen. But we're not going to get into that discussion because we'll be here all night. Let us know what you think of the kits. Make sure to check out Phil on Twitter. Make sure to check out Beyond the Pitch, the podcast. Of course, as I mentioned, I'll be on that one for a couple of the episodes to chat with Phil about all things Premier League, even some La Liga. And don't go anywhere. Make sure to check out our La Liga preview and our Bundesliga preview. See you soon.